Let me read something that I picked up last year. A graduate of the University of Chicago published a piece in Vox. The title was, "I'm a Black U Chicago graduate, safe spaces got me through college." His name is Cameron Okeke, and I'm quoting this. He said, "You want me to elevate mediocre conversations about race with my personal experience and critical lens? Then you better do something about the students who are muttering about affirmative action every time I speak." And I think what he's talking about is possibly a classroom debate where he felt, it suggests he felt directly threatened and undermined, and his claim to have a place in that classroom undermined by people muttering about affirmative action. Now, the question would be, should that muttering about affirmative action have been ruled out of bounds in that classroom?
Yeah, I actually know Cameron Okeke, and I have his piece here, and I think it's a great piece. And one of the things strikes me about it is, even at University of Chicago, where they kind of took this, very assertive position saying no safe spaces, they didn't get rid of the multicultural house, which is the safe space that Cameron talks about being so central to his life on campus. I think he makes, a very powerful, potent point about.
I agree with you, but he's making in this instance, he's talking about something presumably that happened in the classroom. And my question, he gives us a very material example, tittering about, well, the suggestion is you're here because you don't deserve to be here, which I imagine would be a very toxic experience.
I think it could be perfectly appropriate for a professor to, call for an atmosphere of respect. I don't think that's.
But isn't that all you guys are saying?
And people people may come back against that. They may want to say, we want to have a debate about affirmative action. I think the professor, depending on what the class is about, maybe that's the setting for it or not. I don't think you can say questioning affirmative action, period, full stop, is off limits in campus debate.
Sure.
The setting matters, how it was done matters.
So I can give an example, if that's okay.
Sure.
We had a protest at Wesleyan that was part of a national campaign. It was called the Affirmative Action Bake Sale. You remember this a couple of years ago, where students were in the university center, and they said, if you're an African American, you pay 50 cents, and if you're a white person, you pay $1.50, or something along those lines. A group of activists, many of them students of color, came to my office and said, you should shut down that protest because it's making us feel unsafe. It's ruining our day. They're disgusting racists. And I said, well, no, because it's political theater, and you have to get used to the rough and tumble of ideas. So, and they went away less happy than they wanted to be. But they also had places where they could go, safe spaces by their definition and by their experience, where they could recharge, where they can find solace and inspiration. And so I see nothing incompatible with supporting free, safe spaces and saying they're not inherently dangerous, and also supporting the rough and tumble of argumentation in the public sphere.
Where do we draw that line, David Hudson?
Well, I think a lot of what they're talking about is freedom of association. The First Amendment does protect freedom of association, even though the 5 textually stated freedoms are religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. The First Amendment does protect the right to freedom of association. But I think what they're doing is their broad, monolithic, amorphous definition of safe spaces could be subsumed within the First Amendment right to freedom of association. What it should not be allowed to do and cannot be allowed to do is lead to the creation of intellectual safe spaces and the censorship of protected speech.